Well, we're back at the office, and we're going to talk today in Lesson 7 about our strategy as a ministry. And our strategy is uniquely ministry to bikers. Have you ever gone to the grocery store for your wife? She says, honey, I need you to go to the store and get a gallon of milk. Or ladies, have you ever sent your husband to the hardware store to pick up something you specifically needed? And in either case, they came back with bags and bags and bags of good stuff. I mean, good stuff. But they forgot to get what you told them to bring. That's not having a strategy, or that's missing the boat. Now, I don't have a background in the military, but my understanding is that when a military group has been given a target or given an objective, that they might go out and do 100 things, but if they don't meet their objective, it's considered a failed mission. I believe that everything needs a strategy. I believe that it's so easy in the Christian church for us to miss our objectives because we're so forgiving, we're so loving, and because we just see fellowship as just everything. We had great fellowship, and that becomes an excuse for not getting the job done. Fellowship's terrific, but did you get the milk? Did you get done what you wanted to get done? I don't mean to be critical of other motorcycle ministries, but it seems like some of them do just about everything but motorcycle ministry. There's a lot of them that are involved in exit care for people coming out of prison. There are a lot of them that are involved in recovery ministry for people that are alcoholics or drug addicts. I think that's great. I think that's super if that's your objective. But if you say we are here to minister to bikers, then our strategy is that we would be uniquely a biker ministry. You might come into Black Sheep with a passion for children, and you'll try to use the motorcycle ministry, the chapter that you're in, to minister to children. That's okay from time to time, but it's not our strategy. It's not our focus. People in ministry generally love people. That's why they're in ministry, and they want to help any way they can. They need prayer, they need comfort, they need physical and emotional healing, they need practical things like food and clothing and shelter, and it seems like we should be able to do all those things. But if you're doing everything, then you're missing the boat on some of the key things that you've been called to do. Black Sheep is uniquely a motorcycle ministry. We believe, therefore, and you're going to have a diagram there in front of you of three circles. It says 50%, 40%, and 10%. Look at that with me if you would. We believe that 90% of everything we do in this ministry needs to be about motorcycle ministry. It needs to be about ministering to bikers. We don't have any major projects that raises money for the poor or helps children or does overseas missions or has Bible studies or works with prisoners or drug addicts. Not because those aren't wonderful things to do, but it's not what we do. We have a focus. We believe that of that 90% of the ministry that we do for bikers, 50% of it needs to be focused on Harley Owners Group. And we've talked about this before, and it's worth repeating because it's a stumbling block that some people have when they come into Black Sheep. We minister half of our time and half of our resources to 2 million Harley Owners Group members simply because nobody else is doing it. Now, there are other ministries around the country that spend some time with HOG in their communities. We've gone to new cities and gotten involved with HOG and found out that there was somebody there from CMA or someone there from Chariots of Light. But by and large, we have never seen an entire ministry, a national ministry, a world ministry that has said Harley Owners Group is our focus. And so that's why we did it. You need to understand that, but you also need to accept that. If you've got a beef with Harley Owners Group, if you think they're just a bunch of yuppies, this isn't the ministry for you, because we're going to spend 50% of everything we do with Harley Owners Group. And we're going to spend another 40% on some other kind of motorcycle ministry. We might be at some big rally. We might be supporting somebody's toy run. We might be going to the hospital to visit an injured biker who is from a motorcycle club. But at the end of the day, 90% of everything we have done is motorcycle ministry. You say, well, that means we can't ever help the poor? We can't raise money for a family? We can't go down the street and paint the old lady's fence and fix it up because it's falling down? Sure we can. And that's where you see that 10% there that we just call Samaritan ministries. As Christians, we're always going to come across opportunities to help somebody, to feed them, to raise some money, to fix their fence, to rescue their dog from a pit. I don't know. Sure, we're going to respond because we have the compassion of Christ in us. But you need to understand that our strategy is uniquely biker oriented. That's what we're here for. We're here to help bikers. 50% of our time goes to Harley Owners Group. Another 40% goes to motorcycle ministry in general. And then there's that spontaneous Samaritan ministry that we always want to be a part of. So why do you think that's so important? I think it's important because that's the vision that was given to Black Sheep. Way at the beginning of this series, we talked about the origins of Black Sheep, and we talked to you about the young man that was killed, and how as we started to, there was just a handful of us then in Black Sheep, we started to find out how we could help this young man. We started by going to the other local Christian ministries and said, are you going to get involved in that hog member's death? Are you going to help raise funds? Are you going to be there for the family? Do you know anybody that can help them with the funeral? And everybody said, no, we don't have anything to do with hog. And somebody actually said to me, maybe that's what you guys ought to do. Maybe you ought to focus on Harley Owners Group. And as we stepped back and thought about that, we thought, yeah, why are we recreating the wheel someplace else? Why are we trying to do what that ministry is doing? Why are we trying to do what that church is doing? We found that we had a unique calling, and that is strictly motorcycle ministry and predominantly Harley Owners Group. I want to talk to you about two kinds of ministry. Somewhere in your notes, you're going to find a yellow box, and it's going to say two kinds of motorcycle ministry. And we compare ministry with Harley Owners Group as opposed to ministering to bikers at large as our primary focus. What we find is that there are so many things that are built in to ministry with hog that make it so much more effective than trying to go to, say, Sturgis and minister to 500,000 bikers once a year. Let me give you some examples. Ministry with Harley Owners Group. The encounters that we have with them are personal. These are people that we've known for months or years. They're natural. I didn't go someplace to invite myself in or to approach them. They're at the hog meeting just like we are. It's personal, it's natural. It's daily and it's weekly. You know, I saw him yesterday, I saw him on Saturday, I'll see him next week. It's an ongoing, it's a layering effect of building a relationship that is so effective as opposed to showing up someplace once a year or twice a year and maybe running into the same person or not. And it's consistent. They're seeing not only what we're doing or hearing what we're saying, but they're watching our lives. You know, when I go to Sturgis or to Laughlin or Daytona, it's impersonal. It's brief. Maybe I hand them a pamphlet or something. It's seasonal and it's sporadic. And my ministry is mixed in with all the other good or bad or indifferent ministry that they see in the course of the year. But what I love about working with Harley Owners Group is, man, it's just so natural. It's just so consistent. Then there's the context. In ministering with Harley Owners Group, it's kind of focused around one close place, like the Harley dealership and then those close rides that we're on when we go on rides together, when we have our monthly meetings or our breakfasts or whatever. The context is very tight. And so here you are again next month and the month after that, you're at the same place and they're getting to know you and you're getting to know them, as again opposed to being in a booth on a street corner. So impersonal. If you've ever been a vendor of any kind in any kind of a trade show, you know that you're the salesman in the booth. When I'm at a hog meeting, I'm not a salesman. I'm just another hog member. And I happen to love Jesus and I happen to be a member of Black Sheep. And the context is so much more natural. And then there's the ministry itself. Ministry with hog, it's relational, it's natural, and it's ongoing, as opposed to ministry at events. It's limited, it's awkward, there's a time factor. It's just not as effective. I'm not saying that we don't do it. We do share the gospel in our booths. We polish boots, we spray on sunscreen, but most of our ministry takes place in the context of the local dealership or the Harley Owners Group. And then there's the cost. It costs so little to be a hog member. You have to have a local hog chapter annual dues, which is usually 15 or 20 bucks. And then you have an annual hog membership that's a national membership that costs a little bit more. But that's pretty much it. Everything else is going to be the food that you eat and the fuel that you consume. On the other hand, to take your ministry to these major events where you really have sporadic and confrontive kind of a ministry going, you've got some huge traveling costs. You've got some huge lodging and food expenses that cost to get into the event, to register for the event. So ministry at large in big events is much more expensive than ministry to hog, and it's not quite as effective. So the summary to that is that ministering to people you know, building a trust with them in a caring, whole person, consistent manner is a good bang for our buck. It's good, solid ministry. It allows us to go to the grocery store and get the milk. It allows us to meet our objectives very clearly. It's long term. It's an investment. And that's why we're so sad when somebody comes into Black Sheep and they stay for a year or for 2 years at the most. Our members that are having results, our members that are building incredible relationships with people, our members that have been here for 5 and 10 years. They walk into the dealership and they know who you are and they know where you come from and they know your testimony, and they've had 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years to see you walk consistently in Christ. We have a strategy. What we're doing is on purpose. We've thought this through. We've had 16 years to work the plan, and the plan is working. Sure, we'll paint the old lady's fence. We'll pull her weeds once in a while. We'll help that guy that just got out of prison or that person who's trying to get through their alcohol addiction, but it's not where we're going to spend most of our time. Sure, we'll go to those rallies that are around the country, but we find them minimally effective. Our time is spent right there in your own hometown, working with your dealership, with the employees, with the owner, and with Harley Owners Group. It's the best bang for the buck that we've got. And so be prepared to get involved in your community in Black Sheep Harley Davidsons for Christ. God bless.